with me here on set now is Dipti. She's looking at reactions online to what's happened in Manchester. Let's have a look, first of all, then, at what the papers are saying, Dipti.
Well, let's look at some of the front pages that have been coming out. Let's start with the Manchester Evening News, the local paper in Manchester, which says terror at the arena on its front page. Teenagers flee in panic from gig, police treating the explosion, of course, as terrorism. In other newspapers, The Guardian calls it murder in Manchester. At least 19 die in arena attack, with very horrific photos that we're seeing. We've been seeing all morning, really, being plastered all over the papers. Scottish Daily Mail, carnage at pop concert. Terror blast rips through the Manchester arena. And finally, Daily Mirror, the tabloid, which says 19 dead in pop concert suicide bomb. Obviously, this has not yet been confirmed by authorities, but it's something that the tabloid is assuming, I guess. Now, CNBC, the American broadcaster, interviewed a terror expert who says that this, just on face value, this attack seems to be very well thought out and very well executed. It seems to have been carried out by experts who knew what they were doing, who knew where to place the bombs to maximize the damage, and whose intent really was to kill as many people as possible.
And British MPs and politicians right around the world have been reacting to what's happened, haven't they?
That's right. Let's start with Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. He says his heart goes out to families who have lost loved ones. His admiration to brave emergency services. A terrible night for our city. That's what he says. Now, we saw a similar tweets in this vein from the mayors of London and Paris as well. Nigel Farage, he tweeted this earlier, saying the attack was directed at children. It's going to be a very big shock for the UK. Of course, as you've been discussing, this comes just 2 weeks before the national elections over there. Now, Ariana Grande, this is the latest tweet we have of her. It's something she tweeted a few hours back, just after the attack. From the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry. I don't have any words. And in fact, a lot of musicians have been quick to tweet their sympathy as well, because they can understand the shock and trauma that comes from such an event. Jennifer Lopez, the singer, she said her thoughts, prayers, and hearts. Our heart is with Manchester this evening, while Bruno Mars, also an American singer, says, no words can describe how I feel about what happened in Manchester. Indeed, a lot of these artists may have also performed there, so they might know that arena quite well. Andrew Cuomo, who is the New York governor, he said he's heartbroken and said, as a precaution, state law enforcement will step up security and patrols in the New York area as well in the wake of the attacks.
Eyewitness reports, some of those are starting to emerge online as well.
That's right, Stuart, and they're very, very horrific. Really, we're hearing a lot of horrific stories coming out there. The BBC has been putting together some early eyewitness accounts, a lot of them coming from parents who were in their cars waiting for their spouse and kids to come out from the concert. Many describe the feeling of a shudder as the building around them shook, trembled under the explosion. Others describe the panic that took over because many feared a Paris-style gunman attack would follow the explosion. So there was this sort of stampede that took place. Others recount what they call scenes of war, chaos, all compounded by the fact that these were really terrified kids. Now, The Times has also interviewed some of those people at the arena, and they also talk about people who had kids who had panic attacks. One woman had a heart attack outside the arena, a lot of blood everywhere, and it seems that those responsible really wanted to create a situation where you had thousands of people exiting one area with very little room for escape.
And Dipti, finally then, take us through some of the more emotional reactions, if you like, that you've been seeing.
Well, as is unfortunately always the case with these, and too often really for our liking, we're seeing a lot of thoughts with posters and so forth on Twitter. Our thoughts are with Manchester. This one has been tweeted quite a bit. Another user has tweeted this: pray for Manchester, with those bunny ears that are reminiscent of Ariana Grande. That's kind of her trademark, and a lot of her fans were wearing these bunny ears. While this user says, pray for Manchester, with a picture of the arena. Evil will be drowned by your goodwill, which I thought was particularly poignant. You also have a lot of hashtags that are being used. One is missing in Manchester, photos of people who are missing for the moment, enabling people to share information and photos about their loved ones who they don't have news from yet. While The Guardian reports that there's there's also hashtag Room for Manchester, enabling people to offer rooms or a couch in their homes or apartments to those who are stranded because the area is on lockdown. So a few gestures of compassion that we often see in the wake of these attacks that really help people band together and make sense of what is really a tragedy.
OK, Dipti, thank you very much. That's Dipti Kaloran looking at some of the online reaction for us. Of course.